Appreciate it. My name is Reggie Ponder, the real critic out of Chicago. And watching this brings up so many different emotions. I guess I'll go with one of these quotes that was in the piece, and it said, having a conversation with anybody that is not Black is a chore. Well, I was feeling having a conversation with anybody, being Black or white, is a chore. It's so tough to talk about this, and yet we need to talk about it because but talk about it so traumatizing. So I want you guys to speak to this tough thing that you have that we need to talk about it, that it's important to talk about, but that at the same time, there's so much trauma there. When we look at Medgar Evers' widow, she said when she came out, she just wanted to gun down people. She was just so mad. So can you guys speak to this issue of needing to talk about it and the trauma?
Well, I can go on first with that, so that's okay with Patrisse. I think we experience, every time I look at it, say, I cry, to release some of the pressure of what I'm seeing and to remind myself how important these events are. We need some tough conversation now and where we are. I think Patrisse can probably drill down into this even better than I can to tell us about that Black Lives Matter and the other ways that people are having conversations that are hard ones. And that if we don't have, we won't get to the next step.
I love this question. I think that so much of, what we witness in Hallowed Ground and so much of what the Black side filmmakers and Henry Hampton gifted to us was an archive that is a living archive, and an archive that allows for us to remember what we've been through and what we continue to go through. And I think with Hallowed Ground, given the newer voices of this time period, there's as you see in the film, a deep reflection of what the work is today and what is possible because of both our ancestors and our elders that were so well documented in the original Eyes on the Prize.
Speaking of elders, Patrisse's mom. I was a civil rights worker in the 60s. So many of the things that I'm looking at, I'm living again. And what's so strong, I think, about the film is it makes a connection between those of us who were working in the civil rights movement and the leaders now. And I'm so happy every time I hear one of the new leaders, Patrisse certainly included, that I can connect with their emotion, with their dedication, with their leadership, with all those things. I think that's the gift this whole process has given me, besides the wonderful film itself, Eyes on the Prize, Hallowed Ground.
Thank you so much. You guys have definitely given us a gift. Thank you. So Patrisse, I want to piggyback on a couple of things that you said, but before I do that, I want to compliment both of you guys on how I think so respectful and inclusive you guys were of the LGBTQ community, and also in elevating Black women. The comment the question I want to get to is this issue of back in the day, it was really male heavy in terms of how we perceived leadership. We know that a lot of women were involved, but we always keep hearing they weren't shown. So I'm really glad that this was this talked about that as well. But today, when we look at Black men, Patrisse, you talked about how the voting and women push this through, but Black men are generally absent from this. And I'm talking about young Black men. They're generally absent. And what they say to me is, my life doesn't change whoever's in office. It doesn't matter whether it's Obama, it doesn't matter whether, my life doesn't change. The things that I have to do. So can you maybe both speak to this issue of the absence of Black men actively participating in mass?
You want to speak to that first, Judi?
Yeah, I think I'm going to yield to you on it, but I do want to mention that being one of those women in the civil rights movement, yes, we were absent from some of the coverage and what people understood, but the women of the church, for example, were extremely powerful in helping us do grassroots organizing. So I want to pass it to Patrisse because I know she knows a lot about this area. She lives it every day.
Reggie, I think it's a great question. And I think that, you know, I want to start by saying that women have always been, Black women in particular, have always been the architects of the civil rights movement. And so there's actually a clip of Henry Hampton saying this, having this very conversation with a journalist. And I remember him, you know, saying in the video, there's a lot of, he basically says that there was a lot of forward facing of men, but there was so many women that were involved in the civil rights movement, and oftentimes more than men. And so I just think that there's, I don't want to believe that Black men are completely absent and as if it's their fault. I think that there's a new generation of Black men trying to figure out their role. For example, Phil Agnew in the film, who's the brother who's so eloquent and talks about how America always teaches us to forget. But he started an organization. He's, you know, one of the former founders of the Dream Defenders. But he also, out of the Dream Defenders, started Black Men Build, which is an organization specifically organizing Black men to be a part of the movement and to be a part of changing the conditions in their community. And they're doing incredible work. Or Richie Reseda, who is this young brother who spent 7.5 years in a state prison, who started doing patriarchy workshops inside of prison. He started a program called Success Stories. And when he left, he continued that program. And now those same men who were in prison, who were learning to undo their patriarchy, go back into prison and do patriarchy workshops. So I don't want to say that Black men are absent, because I know so many Black men who are on the front lines, but I want to say that Black women feel more compelled to change the conditions. I don't know what that's about, but I know that it's Black women who are often holding the entire community together. And that, to me, is much more, it's cultural, right? We think about our grandmothers or our great grandmothers who took care of our communities. I think about my mother, who takes care of all of her kids, all of her grandkids. I think that is cultural. And I want to be careful about saying that Black men are absent, because I see so many Black men who are pulling in other Black men to say, we deserve to live, we deserve to fight for our lives as well.
Thank you. Sorry for putting you on the spot on that one, but
oh no,
I appreciate that.
I'm glad that you asked the question, because then I got to big up Richie Reseda and Phil Agnew. Everybody should be looking at their work, because it's pretty powerful work.
Thank you so much.